Back by popular demand, it's the Greene Room. Thanks for tuning in this evening or this afternoon or this morning or 3 a.m., whenever it is that you're tuning in to check out this latest edition of the Greene Room. I'm Garrett Greene, bringing you all the latest scores, news, and information that you need to know from around the sporting world when maybe you don't quite have enough time to catch all of Sports Center in the morning. You really want to know what happened? Check it out right here. Let's go ahead and get you started with what happened in golf this weekend. Why are we leading with golf? Well, that's because Tiger Woods, after 30 months, has finally won a PGA event. That's right. He finished 13 under for the weekend at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. That was 5 strokes ahead of Graham McDowell, and good for Tiger's first win in 26 tour events. That's 923 days, dating all the way back to November 15th was the last event that he won. Now, a couple of notes about this win for Tiger. It is his 72nd PGA Tour event that he has won in his career. That puts him one behind Jack Nicklaus, who is second all-time. So, leading up to this, we're going into the Masters, 2 weeks away from it. Tiger having an opportunity to tie Jack Nicklaus, still 4 behind in the majors category, but hey, if he wins the Masters, that puts him right there with that. A couple of notes on that to point out. 2 weeks ago, whenever Tiger Woods left the final round of Doral with that left Achilles tendon tightness, apparently not a problem as he looked pretty good today. Of course, as we mentioned, leading up to the Masters in the next 2 weeks. And an interesting note, whenever Tiger Woods has won the Masters, he has always won an event leading up to it. So potential momentum heading into this. We're going to see how it all turns out for Tiger here in the next couple of weeks. Now on to basketball. There was a chock-full, great slate of games today, and we're going to hit you with everything that happened. Starting off with Kansas defeating North Carolina. Now, North Carolina made a run late in the game. They were within 1 with about 3 minutes left to go, and then Kansas goes on a 12-0 run. No response that Roy Williams' team had to get back to Kansas. They punched their ticket to New Orleans. Tyshawn Taylor, the Big 12 Player of the Year, led the way. He had 22 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 steals in the win for Kansas. Now, looking to another game that happened involving a Big 12 team, the Baylor Bears were facing the overall number 1 seeded Kentucky Wildcats, and it was a game that was hyped up with a lot of athleticism, young guys versus some really good talent that Baylor had, and their older guys winningest class in Baylor history. Bad news, it was a blowout. Baylor is down 20 at the half after Kentucky goes on a 16-0 run. That included a stretch where they didn't miss a shot for 10 minutes worth of game time. For all of you Texas fans out there, imagine that game versus Cincinnati where we didn't hit a shot that whole time. Flip that. That's what Kentucky fans got to watch today. Interesting notes from that game. Anthony Davis had 18 points and 11 rebounds. Left the game for a minute with a knee injury that had all of Bluegrass Nation holding their breath, but he came back in, played superb. He also had 6 blocks in the game. And Quincy Acey led the way for Baylor. He had 22 points and 8 rebounds. Now, in a potential NBA Finals matchup, the Thunder went up against the Heat earlier this evening. The Thunder out-physicaled the Heat. They go on to win 103-87. Kevin Durant had 18 of his 28 points in the first half, and he messed around and almost had a triple-double. 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 6 of those assists in the first half for Durant. Kendrick Perkins also added a season-high 16 points, and Serge Ibaka had 19 points and 10 rebounds. Miami turned the ball over 21 times in this game. That led to 18 fast break points and 28 total points off turnovers for the Thunder. They looked very good as I said, they go on to beat the Heat 103-87. Now, Kevin Love, he had a 51-point game in his last outing. How would he follow that up? Well, how about going for 30 points and 20 rebounds as the Timberwolves easily beat the Denver Nuggets? He fell into a category there with a guy named Moses Malone, the last guy to score 50-plus points and then follow it up with a 30-20 game. So, elite class there for Kevin Durant to fit into. Now, another good NBA game that turned out this afternoon was the Hawks taking 4 overtimes to beat the Jazz. That's the first 4 overtime game since 1997. Joe Johnson goes for 37, while Zaza Pachulia, why don't you go back and say that a couple of times? Zaza. Anyway, he adds 15 points and 20 rebounds for the Hawks as they go on to win. And now let's run down a couple of more NBA scores for you this afternoon and this evening. The Suns go on to beat the Cavs 108-83. Right now we are at half for the Lakers and Grizzlies games. The Grizzlies are up 56-46. As we mentioned, the Hawks beat the Jazz. Celtics beat the Wizards 88-76. Spurs top the 76ers 93-76 as Tim Duncan sits out with rest. And finally, wrapping it all up, the Trailblazers top the Warriors 90-87. Lower score goes on the bottom. And to catch you up on what's been happening in women's basketball over the weekend, one-seeded UConn defeated Penn State 77-59. Notre Dame beat St. Bonaventure. I'm going to be honest, I didn't look at this one. Sorry. Notre Dame goes on to win 79-35. The 35 is all that I need to know. Maryland beats Texas A&M 81-74. They will not repeat. And Kentucky beats Gonzaga 79-62. Now, way to close the show out. We started with golf, a little unconventional. We're going to close with boxing. Burt Sugar at 75 died after going into cardiac arrest. Now, Sugar was a boxing writer and sports historian. If you watch anything that's boxing-related literature, he's probably speaking about it. He's known for his classic look with his cigar and his fedora. Passed away at the age of 75. And that segues me into little sports nuggets that most of you might not hear about, and I wanted to let you guys know about. So Mike Tyson was recently interviewed by a reporter from the LA Times, and he had a sit down with him. And he says, "Mike, you've been involved in so many crazy things. What don't we know about you?" Tyson's response, "I got a prisoner counselor pregnant once." When was that? When I was locked up. Look it up. That's when it happens. That's the first bit of information that you need to hear about this. Then listen to what Tyson had to say about a potential bout between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Manny Pacquiao. When asked if he could be an ambassador or mediator to pound out a deal for Mayweather and Pacquiao in November, the reporter asked if he had any interest. Here's what Tyson had to say. "If you need one man to get two men in the ring and fight each other, they're not men. They should want to fight each other. I don't know if they will fight or why they won't. I'm not in their heads. There may be a financial strategy at play, some kind of rights we're not thinking about." And they asked him, "You can't relate to this, right?" And he said, "Some guys are afraid to lose, and they think once they lose, there's nothing left. That zero is their security blanket. I was just out there wanting to be the best. I thought of myself as the best fighter God ever created. No man was ever going to step into that ring and beat me. I can't relate. It's out of the question. We're from different eras. Some of these guys today are business oriented. When I fought, we didn't care if we had no money left afterward. All we wanted was to have enough left to open a bar like the guys before us did, and a lot of those guys were deadbeats or ended up in insane asylums. That was the glamorous road I wanted to follow." And of course, he goes on later to say that he would pick Mayweather in a fight if it did happen. The link to that is on my Twitter page. I retweeted it. It's from Brian Fisher, LA Times article. You can read everything on there. It's at Garrett Greene. Go follow on Twitter. Kind of boost the followership a little bit there. Selfless plug. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. We went a little bit over our 5 to 6 minute limit, but glad to have you tuned into the Greene Room. We'll be back again very soon. I promise this time with more Greene Room. Thanks. Have a great evening.